Nothing to fear but fear itself. Today on Fortitude through Stoicism, and this is my 365-day journey of implementing this ancient philosophy of Stoicism into the life of this modern masculine man. The quote today by Seneca: "There is no reason to live and no limit to our miseries if we let our fears predominate." There is no reason to live and no limit to our miseries if we let fear predominate. So what Seneca is saying is, there's no reason to live in fear. There is no reason to have these miseries in our life that are self-imposed. In the early days of the Great Depression, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was a Masonic brother to my grandfather, side note, was sworn in and gave his first inaugural address. It's famous. Talks about there is nothing to fear but fear itself, right? Panic was in the air. The banks were shutting down. But the quote is worth listening to in its entirety. "Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance." The truth is, fear is instinctual. Fight, flight, or freeze. Those are our responses when we're scared. Our instincts tell us to run and hide, survive. There are some of us, those who are males with high levels of testosterone, are the ones that don't. They're the ones that turn and fight. They're the ones that protect. Now, this is millions of years of evolution, right? So how do we overcome this? Because the Stoics believed that fear was feared because of misery it creates. Fear is to be feared because of the misery it creates. Being afraid creates misery. We allow ourselves to be afraid. Now, what are you saying, Shawn? That's bullshit, right? What are you saying you're not afraid? That's what courage looks like. Yes, this is big and scary shit. Take you back to Plato's cave, right? Those slaves tied up, they see these reflections of these big scary things on the wall. But they realize outside it's not like that. They lived in fear because they created themselves. I reflect on my life, and I remember this is when I learned that fear was completely, it was pointless. Why? I'll tell you, I remember it was wrestling. It was my senior year. And I always wrestled way below, because I early on in my wrestling career, I got sick of cutting weight. So my senior year, I wrestled super heavyweight. These big, fat, giant men would cut weight just to make the super heavy. I would go strolling in wearing my boots, jeans, carrying my backpack, step on that scale, not even move it. I saw this kid from Liberty, and I was like, oh my God, he's so big. Why is he so big? He looks so mean. I remember I was so scared. I was pacing, because the super heavies, they go last, right? So I had the entire wrestling match to work myself up into this fear. I was afraid of this guy. Ended up being a 4-second pin, school record, still in place today. The fear was unjustified. I spent all that time working myself up for no reason. It was unjustified. Why? So that little thing, I was just turned 17, so I started my senior year when I was 16. Just turned 17 years old, and I realized fear was an illusion. It was something that we created. And I made a commitment to myself at 17 years old that I would never, ever, ever, ever let fear hold me back. I would say, fuck it. I'm going to find out. I am the original fuck around and find out guy. No shit. Fuck it. Let me see what happens. Let me touch this electric fence, see what happens. Let me go there and fuck around this bull. Let me see what happens. Let me try and steal this fucking crop duster when I'm 10 and see what happens. Life has been fuck around and find out for me. Because I don't have that fear factor. What it has done for me. You look at all the amazing things I've done in my life. All of them. I mean, we're talking sports, military, professional, travel. I mean, I've seen places in the world done things that most men will never see or do in a dozen lifetimes. I am blessed because I confronted fear when I was 17 years old. So no. Marine Corps boot camp, let's go. Woo! Where are my yellow footprints, baby? I leaned into it. I found the positive. I found the excitement. And to me, I put myself in that warrior mindset, man. This is an adventure. Business. Let's shift to business. I am playing so far above my station. In high school, they tried to convince me to go into plumbing or auto mechanics. Great trades, don't get me wrong. I am not a fucking tool guy. Somebody's gonna lose a hand. Some shit's gonna get broke. Somebody's gonna get sued. Not that guy. But because I didn't fit in their box of, hey, sit in these neat little rows, raise your hand, walk in the line, you know. Not that guy. But what we realize now from school is all of those people who sit in really tight little rows and raise their hand and they're good little boys, they make good employees. The ones who couldn't be corralled, who couldn't be taught to stay in line, you know what they are? They're the fucking bosses now. They're the entrepreneurs. Because they realized that a long time ago this is fucking bullshit and the schools use fear to control you. The government uses fear to control you. Remember COVID? Oh my God, the world's gonna end. Got a case of the fucking sniffles. We're gonna take away your business, lock down your shit, fucking force you to wear a mask, isolate. What they have done from that fear, the ripple effect from the mental illness in this world, and don't even get into the vaccine shit. Let's leave that one alone. The mental trauma that they've done to the world with their nonsense. Because fear is contagious. It's fucking one of the most dangerous things there is. People get all crazy. Think about the Salem witch trials. These fuckers were just hanging people who looked funny or did something, or a strong woman, or God forbid you were a beautiful woman, you were a fucking witch and they hung you, burned you. People get fucking crazy when they're afraid. Think about COVID. They locked motherfuckers in their house in China. They couldn't even leave. People are screaming, jumping out the windows. That is what fear does. Fear is the most dangerous thing that man has created. And yes, I said created. It's a natural response, but we embellish it, and it's disgusting. So you're right. I am afraid of fear. That is why I reject it adamantly. Don't let it in my head. I don't let it in my head. If I'm afraid of something, I fucking do it. Like I'm doing it just to smack myself in the face and say, no, this is not okay. This is not okay. Not okay. Because I can tell you, in my entire life, of all the things I was ever afraid of, none of them ever came to fruition. None. Not once. Not one time. It's a fallacy, and we punish ourselves with that fallacy. So knock it off, find some courage, and let's go get after it. On that, I'm out of here.